Hello and welcome to the Pinfall podcast. On today's show, we look back at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, which featured the 27th and 28th Elimination Chamber matches in WWE. We see what this means for WrestleMania as we are on the road to WrestleMania. My name's Wilbs and I'm joined by Barnsey. Hello, Barnsey.
Hello, mate. You right?
Good. And also by the birthday boy, Jordan. Happy 30th birthday, George.
Thank you very much. How are you?
Good. Did you have a good birthday?
Yeah, it was good for the circumstances we're in. Yeah, couldn't ask for much more. Barnsey got me some incredible brownies, which have just finished off today. So that was a treat in itself.
Good stuff. Well, hopefully you enjoyed the Elimination Chamber on your birthday. It went down on 21st of February. And the opening match on the card was an Elimination Chamber match with the winner facing Roman Reigns later on in the evening. The match started with Cesaro and Daniel Bryan. And in the pods, we had Corbin, Zayn, Kevin Owens, and Jey Uso. The match went on, and Daniel Bryan won the match. Let's break it down. Did you enjoy the match first off?
I thought it was okay. I was expecting a little bit more. I think it started a little bit slow and got better as it went on. I think once they were all in the ring, it was really good. King Corbin's elimination for a start was a little bit soft. I thought. He's just been, I think we touched on it in the previous pod, he's just had this gimmick now for way too long. And he properly needs a freshen up. But there were some cool spots in it. I really, really enjoyed the way Kevin Owens got eliminated, actually. I thought when he was trapped in the door and Jey Uso properly kicking him in the head, like, no one should ever get up from something like that, and I'm glad that Kevin Owens didn't. It was a good ending. Just a bit underwhelmed that Bryan won, to be honest. I was sort of hoping it was, going to be Cesaro's big moment to shine, but knowing that, the match with the champion was soon to follow straight after, I was sort of glad that it wasn't Cesaro, and hopefully he's going to get another shot down the line.
Yeah, I actually really like this match. It's sort of where we want SmackDown to be. It's full of guys who you want at the top now, which was really good. And with Bryan winning, you sort of protect the other guys. Because sort of Reigns is going to do what Reigns does. But I really liked it. I thought it was quite, there's some incredible spots in it still. Like you just said, the arm in the door, some new stuff. Sami Zayn being Sami Zayn, it's just always a good bit of fun. When he touched upon him and Owens used to be sort of how they were close friends. So there was good little tidbits in between the match. But yeah, I was a massive fan of this one. I think it's good Bryan won, protect the others, keep Cesaro strong because like he's going to have a big year. Owens looks incredible as well. And it was nice to see that they're keeping him strong by the way he was eliminated as well. It took a lot to take him down, but it obviously got him eventually. So yeah, I was actually, for the opener, I really enjoyed this match.
Yeah, I thought it was a solid opening match. Cesaro submitted Corbin for the first elimination. Baron Corbin looked pretty good at the start, didn't he? He was coming out all guns blazing, like you said.
Yeah, I just thought they all put on, quite a good showing in this. It was nice as well. They didn't sort of sometimes they wait for everyone to be in there before they start the eliminations. It's good to, mix it up a little bit. And for me, the SmackDown one, it just felt like it had all the people you sort of want in it, like as fans, at the top of the card. Which is a little bit different to how the Raw one was presented to us. Just a big fan of this match.
Yeah, Kevin Owens' moonsault was good, wasn't it, off the top?
Yeah, I was about to say, I loved his moonsault, and he did like a double combination of a neck breaker, like one a brainbuster and one like on the knee. I think it was to Sami Zayn and I can't remember who the other one was, but they were two unbelievable spots. Also, like Cesaro, like when you try and innovate something new, and when he's doing like the pull-ups on the top of the chamber, that was, that added a little bit of comedy element to it after he'd knocked Zayn off. Even like Jey Uso, doing the splash off the top of the pod, and, it just unbelievable moves throughout.
That moonsault as well, it happened so quickly, like. It looked like all the guys were one side of the chamber, like nearer the other pods, and then he climbed up and he didn't even sort of take a second look. He just went. I don't even think he cared if anyone was underneath him. He just went, and that's just the sort of guy Kevin Owens is, just an absolute nutter.
Yeah, so the final two was Bryan and Uso. Uso got 2 eliminations in the match, so he's being kept strong again throughout this match. And Bryan goes on to win. So good match overall, and the right winner, would you say?
Yeah, for me, I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was the better of the 2 chambers. And keeping Bryan, I think with Bryan, he's probably the safer bet than any of the others going up. Like, as much as we want to see like the Cesaro, Zayn, even Corbin go for a Universal title match, this probably wasn't the right time for it. So just having Bryan go forward, for me was the right winner, because I think we knew what the outcome of the title match would be anyway.
Yeah, I never thought that Jey Uso was going to win, because obviously I don't think he would have gone up against Reigns unless he was going to do sort of, a lie down job. Like I say, I would have liked Cesaro to have won, but knowing that the match was straight after, it was a little bit like, I'm glad he didn't get that wasted opportunity, like win the chamber and then, lose the match to Roman, because it was inevitable that he was never going to lose the belt. I'm a bit disappointed for Bryan though, because it was, he's never won the Royal Rumble. I know he's now won a chamber, but he's just been sort of fed to Roman in a way. I suppose to make him look strong, which again is a good thing for Roman. But yeah, I suppose what Jordan said was a pretty good point. It protects the rest of the guys in the chamber. So moving forward in the long-term storyline, it's a good thing.
Yeah, it was a good match, and then sort of everything that followed sort of overshadowed it in a way in storyline terms. So Roman Reigns comes down once Elimination Chamber goes up, and their Universal title match begins. Daniel Bryan gets him in the yes lock within seconds, and you think, could there be an upset? But obviously Roman gets out of it, destroys him, and makes Bryan submit or pass out. The match lasts about 100 seconds. Did you enjoy the match?
Well, for that split, few seconds where he literally, it looked like he was just going to spear him and win, and then all of a sudden he's in the yes lock. I just thought that was an unbelievable sort of 5 or 6 second, you're literally like, no way is he going to do it, and then just the brute strength he shows to get out of the move, and just decimate him. I love that guillotine move he's got. It just adds another element to Reigns. It's not just like what we used to see with a Superman punch and a spear. It's now he's got versatility to his game and different ways of winning. And I think to be a top wrestler at the not just on the mic and in the ring, you've got to have more brutal moves, and it's just a believable move. You just all his weight on the opponent, literally making them pass out, submit, whatever, to get the win. And it just makes Roman look so good. And I think we all know that everyone on this pod likes the way Reigns has come back with his new attitude since SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think having this match straight after just showed why it was perfect for Bryan to win. And I think SmackDown just really lately is just top level, especially with the storytelling like this. Immediately he's out, and it's like such classic heel work just coming out. It's like just going to take pick the bones of Bryan. But no other wrestler in WWE can give you that glimmer of hope where you think, oh my God, he's going to win it. And that's what Daniel Bryan does better than anyone. So for that brief second, you're like, blimey, this is it. Like, could he do it? And with the guillotine, especially on someone the stature of Bryan, it just looks savage because he's so much bigger than him already, and he almost just choking the life out of him. So, I'm a massive, massive fan of SmackDown at the moment. And these sort of little stories just show why it's probably the best brand at the moment.
Does it bother either of you that 6 men battle for 40 minutes in an Elimination Chamber just for the winner to get squashed in 100 seconds, or are you happy with that?
For me, it's just part of the Roman character that he's building. It's just like it wouldn't sit probably as right if they went for 20 minutes after a chamber. Like, if you're trying to bring that realistic element of it in, if you've been in such a brutal match like that, it's then hard to then go for another 20 minutes. So it just sort of brings that realism to it.
Yeah, I think if the champion's a heel character as he is, you can't then make the face person go up against him. I think from a realistic point of view, it just doesn't work. So when that happened, I was sort of I wasn't disappointed at all with that. It just it keeps Roman looking strong, and we build up to Mania now with him still being the champion.
I think there'd be an issue with it if there was like the other chamber match, and then they had this match. Like if this went on to main event the pay-per-view, then if he squashed him in like 2 minutes, you'd probably have an issue with it. But because it was straight after, it just adds to that hill of Roman and everyone hating him, and that's the reason it didn't give me too much issue.
Yeah, well, after the match, Edge came down and speared Roman Reigns. Immediately after spearing him, he couldn't point to the WrestleMania sign quick enough. And their match is now official. We've got WrestleMania main event, Roman Reigns defending against Edge. Are you happy with this?
He prematurely pointed. And I don't blame him. SmackDown's the best brand. I'm excited for what happens from now till Mania, because I love Roman, and Edge is great on the mic as well. So what these two will do will be excellent leading up to it. I don't know how the match will go down itself. I can't imagine Edge beating Roman, but then I can't imagine Edge not winning a belt after having that Rumble victory. So it's very intriguing, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's definitely intriguing because between now and WrestleMania, we've got another pay-per-view as well. So I hope they don't try and team them up as they've done with lots of WrestleMania matches in the past. I hope they keep them separate and maybe even have a tag match at Fastlane, but on opposing teams, just so you get a little bit of a feel of what Mania could be like and just build the hype even more, I suppose. But what I thought was interesting was obviously on the last episode of SmackDown, Roman Reigns whispers something in Edge's ear, and it was not known to the viewer. Like, obviously, in these times, they've been making it really apparent what they've all been saying to each other. And it's almost, been in the storyline. But they kept this bit secret. And then as soon as Edge speared Roman, he obviously delivered a message back to him. So it just adds another little bit of intrigue. I do like it when it's sort of a little bit more behind the scenes. It's like, sort of feels like there's a little bit more needle to it as well. So I think they're going to build it hopefully pretty nicely. And the way they're building Roman, obviously he's looks like this unbeatable champion that's able to win at, whenever he wants at the moment. And like you say, Edge has won the Royal Rumble, so usually the winner of the Royal Rumble goes on and wins the main event of WrestleMania. So it'd be interesting to see what way they go with this.
Yeah, Edge has been so good on the mic, hasn't he, since we're back. Some of the promos he's been hitting have been amazing. So I think the build-up to this is going to be really good.
You think as well, it's going to be sort of the last match of Mania, and it's going to be sort of the first pay-per-view with a crowd. So I can't imagine them not ending it on like a huge Edge pop. But Roman's so good. It feels so hard that taking the belt away from him. But we'll see what's to come.
Yeah, I think it'd be a big indication whether it's on night 1 or 2 this match. Because say like it was the last match on night 1, it then wouldn't surprise me if they made Roman win. But like you say, I think if it's the main event on the second night, then it's definitely Edge to win. So it'll be interesting to see the placement because, like last year's Mania when it was over 2 nights, we didn't know the order of the card or when the matches were going to happen. So yeah, it just adds a little bit more intrigue and just hopefully it'll be in front of a few thousand people in that massive stadium because I think they all deserve it now after the year they've had.
Yeah, so we're going to have a Fastlane pay-per-view and hopefully we're going to do a WrestleMania preview show where we do some predictions. But just looking at it now, we've got the 6 guys in the Elimination Chamber match. Plus you've got Seth Rollins and Big E. What WrestleMania matches would you like to see with these 8? Was there a sort of a combination or a match you'd like to see between these guys?
I would love to see Cesaro versus Seth. Their storyline's quite good because I think Seth has a sort of CrossFit sort of company outside of WWE and Cesaro's heavily involved in it as well. So it sort of brings that real life story into it, which is always quite intriguing. So, and just in ring ability, just them to being given a 20 to 30 minute match would be incredible. And then Owens and Big E would be a good one. If I had to pick 2 matches from those 8 people.
Yeah, I was going to say it might get Owens against Jey Uso, just continuing the feud with the Reigns family. Also saw that Jey's brother's back in the gym and releasing videos on Instagram, so I'd imagine he could be back in the frame again soon. So it'd be interesting to see if they go back to being a tag team or maybe even get them feuding against each other. I don't know how they're going to play it out, but yeah, Cesaro against Rollins would definitely be an epic match for a WrestleMania.
Yeah, there's 8 very, very good wrestlers there, so hopefully they'll make some good, exciting matches for WrestleMania when it comes up. Right, the next match on the card was the US title match. It was scheduled to be Bobby Lashley defending against Riddle and Keith Lee, but earlier in the day we heard that Keith Lee was out injured. So on the pre-show, we had a 4-way match to decide who was going to be the third person in the triple threat match. This was between Ali, Ricochet, Elias, and Morrison, and John Morrison was the winner.
Yeah, before we get onto the US title match itself, this pre-match, what really annoys me is these fatal 4-ways are no DQ, and Ali comes out with his whole retribution gang, and they barely get involved. Like, why are you not just taking everyone out? You're like anti-establishment. Just take everyone out and move on to the US title match. And I'm not a big fan of retribution as it is, but this just wound me up. Like, for no need, I was just like, don't take them all out with you if you're not then going to go destroy everyone in the match and just move Ali onto the pay-per-view. Yeah, proper wound me up. So I wanted just to get that in there before we moved on to the main match.
Well, it was John Morrison who qualified, as we said, and the triple threat match between John Morrison, Bobby Lashley, and Riddle was won by Riddle. So we have a new champion, and he got the memo that it was no DQ because he used the crutch for the win.
Yeah, good man. Like, it's no DQ, use it. And it was good because it's sort of like it keeps Bobby Lashley strong as well, like, using weapons to take him down and such. But my initial thought on this match was, with Keith Lee being the original member of it, it would have been strange for him to take the loss to protect Lashley and give Riddle the belt, unless he was meant to win the title. I don't know. It didn't quite sit with me right. I was thinking, God, were they going to have Keith Lee take the loss in probably one of his biggest matches since coming up from NXT? But yeah, good match, all amazing athletes, and hopefully this means Bobby Lashley's moving up for me. I love Hurt Business. I think since Mania has been one of the best and consistent things on Raw, so whatever happens in the future, they definitely need to move up from this belt, and yeah, long time coming for them.
I was going to say probably the only consistent thing on Raw, because most of the show has been shocking over the last few months, but I was actually pretty happy that Riddle got the belt, and since he's been up, we've complained on previous pods quite a lot about the opportunities that the NXT call-ups get. But with Riddle, when he first went on to SmackDown, he got victories over AJ and Daniel Bryan pretty early on. And since he's been coming to Raw, he's continued his momentum and he's been in top fights. I quite like his sort of dopey sort of character. And yeah, I think it's good that they've put the belt on him actually. Despite what you said, George, they kept Lashley looking really strong. There was moments in the match where Morrison and Riddle would gang up against Lashley and he would still come out on top. And yeah, it was just a really, really good finish. And it was inevitable that Morrison was picked to win that Fatal 4-Way to take the pin to crown the new champ. And it just feels like it's a good time going into Mania season that Lashley's free of that belt to move up to, go on to bigger things. And yeah, it's quite exciting for the Hurt Business. But I was thinking before this match, I really wanted sort of like Keith Lee to potentially join the Hurt Business. And I was wondering if he would, get the belt, be the US champion in the group, and then, Lashley can go on. So be interesting to see how it plays out when he returns from injury.
I was going to say, does anyone know anything about Keith Lee's injury, how long he could potentially be out for?
The only rumour I heard was that it was long COVID. Like he's actually struggling with COVID rather than injury. But that, that's an internet mill rumour, so don't quote me on that.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not too long, regardless of what it may be. But yeah, it's unfortunate for him and a shame because, yeah, maybe he could have been the champion. Maybe there could have been another direction with it. But yeah, I'm not bothered with Matt Riddle being the champion. He's a great wrestler. What we don't need though is a slow-mo of him ripping off his flip-flops.
that was just not needed at the start. Never again for me. I was just like, what is happening? But yeah, I mean, it's good. It's good. It's putting sort of the right pieces in the right places on Raw, which they desperately need to do.
They got their money's worth for that slow-mo camera in this match because Morrison has it on his entrance in the ring, like down the ramp, and Matt Riddle has it when he's flipping his flip-flops off. Yeah, totally not needed.
It's like they forgot who's coming out.
The next match on the card was the women's tag team match. We had Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax defeating Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair to retain their women's tag titles. Reginald came down and distracted Banks to cost her the win. What do you think's going on here with Reginald? Like, why is he getting involved?
I mean, I don't really know. To be fair, I whizzed past this match to the ending because what's the point of having, like, they're still going to fight each other at Mania? I just don't understand why we need to see them tag together. You've just run the Rumble and you've got to, like, pick who you're going to fight at Mania and you're all of a sudden tagging with one. You haven't seen Edge do that, and it was just, for me, it was just weird, and I didn't want them to win, but it wouldn't have surprised me with WWE because they love giving the women's champion the other belt. So, and Reginald, it's just weird. Like, he wasn't even with Carmella that long, it doesn't seem, so I don't really get where they're going with it all.
Yeah, he's becoming a bit of a main fixture in the women's title. Like, it's a little bit weird. Like, he was in the 6-man tag on SmackDown, and now he's not coming out behind Carmella's back. So you can only imagine that she's going to be getting back in the feud. Yes, it's totally bizarre. But in that match we saw him have on SmackDown a couple of weeks ago, he displayed quite a good set of wrestling moves, so I'd quite like to see him actually, break away from this storyline and go out on his own and get involved in the ring, because I think he's a bit of a talent.
I think we're all in agreement that WrestleMania we're going to see Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. With this match, I thought potentially Sasha Banks could have turned heel, and that could have been a reason for putting this together, but how it's turned out, I do wonder what the point was.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great shout. It would have been a good time to turn it heel because it's very unlike WWE to have two faces go into a main event together. But maybe, I don't know, maybe Reginald come out to set up maybe her and Carmella for Fastlane maybe. But yeah, it was all a bit confusing, and I wouldn't have thought Nia and Shayna would have defended their titles again until they played the Dusty Cup winners. Surely that's like, you win the trophy and you're next in line. So it was a bit weird that they gave it to Sasha and Bianca. Because I don't even think that it was like the last match secured for the card, I think. So the Dusty Cup happened before they even booked that match. So it was just a bit weird.
Yeah, and on Raw as well, is it Naomi and Lana as well? They're up for... So it seems like...
Yeah.
A lot of people are in line for a tag title match.
And I could be wrong, but I think the the women's tag title match is just going to happen on NXT.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
It's a pay-per-view. Yeah, it's like, you could have easily just put that on the Chamber pay-per-view and just given Kyle Gonzalez, like, that time said, I would have definitely watched it then instead of just, skipping past it.
Yeah, this feels so much like the Bayley and Sasha, movement earlier in like the back end of the summer last year. I don't know why they have to pair the WrestleMania opponents together in a tag team before building up. It happens so often. It's bizarre. And I just hope they get away from it. Hopefully we'll get a decision from Belair in the next week or two, just confirming that she's going to take on Banks. But I think, you're right, Wilbs. We need there to be a little bit of movement from one of them to turn heel so that, there's a actual little bit of hate and they can build a proper feud rather than, them just pansying around, just not getting on with it. We know this match is going to happen. Don't put them in a tag team. Start making them go at each other.
Because it pales in comparison to what Edge has done. He turned up on NXT talking about maybe that one, and then he was like, "Oh no, I'm going to wait till the end of Chamber to make my decision." And he's plotting who to go against. And then you've got Bianca who's sort of like dancing around with Sasha, like, "Oh, let's be buddies and let's tag." It's like, just run a Rumble when you've got an opportunity at a title. Don't book her this way. Book her to pick one and, start building the story towards it.
The only difference with Edge, though, is he's a free agent, so he can go on any show. And obviously, by going on NXT, he's probably boosting the ratings, when they're trying to compete against AEW, and it's just like Edge is on the show, he's coming up against Baszler. It's two big stars, so you can see why they're doing it.
I don't think that matters when you win the Rumble. I think you can just do, because Flair was Raw, wasn't she, when she won the Rumble?
Yeah, if you win the Royal Rumble, you can face whoever champion you want.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, last match on the card, we had the Elimination Chamber match for the WWE title. The match started with Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton, and they were followed in by McIntyre, Kofi Kingston, AJ Styles, and Sheamus. So what did you think of this match? Obviously, we know that McIntyre went on to win it. Did you enjoy this match?
For me, I found this match quite uninspiring, to be fair. The lineup just didn't get me excited. I mean, what we have with the SmackDown, we had some newer people in Chambers, and it felt quite fresh. And I know with the Raw that happened last night, they said how it was about the Chamber was built to be all ex-WWE champions, whether that's something they just said on Raw last night to justify it. But I just thought it was a bit stale. They really need to see Jeff, Kofi, Randy. I want to see some new blood in this, and give some people some opportunities. So yeah, I wasn't as big a fan of this one. Once it finished, my comparison was it felt like the SmackDown Chamber was what the fans of WWE want and like, and then the Raw one was what the writers of WWE think the fans want and like, and you could just see how that differed.
Yeah, for me it was it wasn't great either, and I don't know if we want to say this now, but it felt like the whole time you were waiting for the match to end for The Miz, because at the very beginning of the show, in the opening package, the last person on the thing was The Miz holding up his briefcase and going, "I'm in control now." You had skits throughout the card with him having that, slap in the face with Bad Bunny. And then just before the Chamber was starting, you saw the backstage bit with MVP. So for me, I was just the whole time waiting for him to come down and get involved. And I thought as soon as that happened, there was no way there was going to be a new champion and then they were going to get beat by The Miz. So I was waiting for McIntyre to actually retain and then, wait for the cash-in. And even after Drew had won the match, the camera was just set up so you could see the Titantron in the background. And they cut away from it a couple of times and obviously weren't ready for him to come down. And then you just see the Miz's music come and it, awesome hits, and he's running down, and you just knew as soon as that happened it was going to be a new champ. So yeah, it sort of made the Chamber feel a little bit, I don't know, pointless in a way.
Yeah, I can't believe they showed that MVP and Miz before the Chamber. As soon as they done that, you knew something was coming. And then, you just weren't surprised by any of it, which is a great shame. But yeah, the Chamber itself, I never thought anyone else was going to win that match other than McIntyre. None of them. I don't know. I know, Lee was injured, but I don't know. It just felt like it needed, it's all well and good having all ex-WWE champions, but it felt like it just needed something a bit fresh, maybe. Not necessarily someone you think will win, but put a Ricochet in there, or if he was ever used, Aleister Black. It just felt like it needed something to get people more excited about it.
Yeah, I felt they could have maybe built someone during the match, so maybe got them to get a few eliminations and maybe make you think, oh, this could be their time. They're getting a bit of a push, but people like Randy Orton, we know he's probably going to go on to face Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. Just think, what was the point of putting him in there? He was the first one out. He didn't really get to look like a major star.
And they always talk about how Kofi replaced Miz in this, and he did that with Ali, and that's how he sort of Kofi Mania come around and stuff. Great, Kofi's had that. Let's give it to someone else. Why can't someone else replace Miz? And they've got an opportunity of a lifetime. They never thought they'd have in the next few years and build on that. And yeah, it just felt like a little sort of missed the mark for me, and it just needed a bit of sort of freshness to it. But yeah, that MVP bit just before it, I just can't believe that was shown. That was unbelievable.
The only other person I thought actually looked pretty good was maybe AJ Styles. And I like the bit where I'm not a big fan of Omos, but when he took out the glass and then he ran back round, that was pretty cool. And then the final pin where McIntyre pinned him when he got Claymored in the air, I thought AJ Styles sold that like a pro.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth with that. When you see the chamber, like we said with Cesaro earlier, you want to see a little bit of innovation, something different from all the others. I think you said it was the 27th chamber, 28th chamber. So you want to see something different, and it is very difficult to come up with brand new ideas. But yeah, that Omos thing, just for them few seconds that was taking place, I was like, that's good. And also, the Claymore, unbelievable connection from Drew, and perfect timing from AJ too. So that that was just. AJ Styles just delivers, doesn't he? Every match that he's in, he's just one of the absolute best. And talking of WrestleMania's matches on SmackDown, it'd be interesting to see who he fights, because I think I saw as well that since he's been drafted to Raw, this was only his second pinfall defeat. They both come in the last week to Drew McIntyre, so he's not been beaten at all on Raw. He's obviously lost tag matches where the other person's got involved or whatnot, but they're just hopefully building him up to have a vital role at WrestleMania.
Yeah, one of the rumours I've read online is that he's looking to face Triple H.
Yeah,
that's one of the ones he said he wants. So hopefully, what AJ wants, AJ gets.
Yeah, I saw that thing. He said he wanted 3 matches, and it was Edge, obviously, which now is not going to happen because he's fighting Roman. The world title on Raw, which obviously could still happen, or Triple H. So hopefully we get Triple H, because for me that would just be absolute fire.
I mean, he's in a position where he can sort of choose who he wants this Mania after what he did last Mania, especially in sort of the wrestling rules, helps the Undertaker out perfectly. So, again, with the chamber, you could have just, you could have enveloped so many little mini stories in it to spark onto Mania, because if he doesn't get Triple H with the title, it's sort of like what is AJ going to do, because he should be on Mania, and it's like who is he fighting, and hopefully this is the Triple H one. It'd be interesting to see how they go about getting Triple H onto TV to spark the feud going forward.
Yeah, so as we've discussed, McIntyre wins the match. As the cage comes up, Bobby Lashley comes down and attacks Drew McIntyre, leaves him laying, only for The Miz to come in, cashes in his money in the bank, gets the 1, 2, 3, and we've got a new WWE champion. And the Elimination Chamber ends with The Miz lifting the title high in the sky. So, what do you think of the cash-in?
Well, it's a massive swerve, because I think since Rumble they've been building this, what looks like Miz Morrison versus Bad Bunny and Priest. So unless we're going to get Bad Bunny 2 belts, completely, it's not shocked by it, but just a bit confused. I personally think this year's been the worst for the Money in the Bank they've ever had. I mean, the way he got it to start with. But wrestling is all about talking points, and thankfully I didn't check social media when I watched it in the morning, because it was everywhere, and that's what you essentially want. He has got everyone talking about it, and I loved his promo afterwards. I don't know if you've seen it, where he's like crying down the camera to basically how everyone felt about him winning that belt. I do feel a bit sorry for him in a sense, because it feels like he's just gonna not going to have it for very long. So, but then again, he's doing his part for the company. So, it's sort of it's building blocks again. So I'm interested to see where it goes.
Yeah, I sort of feel massively sorry for McIntyre, actually, because it felt like he lost the belt to Randy Orton just before the big Survivor Series match and then won it back. So it felt like at that point, WWE had made a bad decision to make him drop the belt ahead of that match with Roman, and then thankfully we still got it. And I sort of feel like the only reason they're doing this is so that McIntyre can win the belt back in front of a crowd at this year's Mania. I think it's just going to be another stopgap to, get McIntyre the belt back eventually. Like you say, I don't think Miz is going to have it for too long, but, he creates a lot of history by winning this belt. I think he's been talked about as the first ever 2-time Grand Slam champion. So he's, that's obviously one reason that they've done it. I think he says on Raw that he's been in the company now 16 years. So he's given a lot of time, and he's barely been injured. He's on there every week. He's still got a lovely family behind the scenes, and he's just added so much to WWE. So I think it's a nice touch that they've given him this accolade, that he's going to forever be associated with. And yeah, what I like is that Bobby Lashley is now being elevated into the main event picture. It's something new. It's not, we've had Randy Orton against Drew McIntyre for, it feels like every pay-per-view of 2020, pretty much, since WrestleMania. So it's nice that they're freshening it up. And Lashley's just improving all the time. He looks like an absolute beast at the moment. And if we get McIntyre-Lashley at WrestleMania, I don't think that's going to be a bad match. I think that's, it's believable. Like, whoever was to win, they're both big, strong geezers, and you want to see them go at it, really.
So that's my next question. Do you think we're going to see Lashley beat The Miz and then Lashley versus McIntyre at WrestleMania?
I think I agree with Matt where, they're saving McIntyre to get his Mania pop he missed out on last year. If I was a betting man, I imagine Miz is going to be in that Mania match, triple threat to take the loss, to keep Lashley strong. I feel like WWE have done McIntyre a little bit dirty with the 2 drops he's had, because he essentially should have had this Mania to Mania. And then I think this Mania coming should be, we should be turning into then the year of Bobby Lashley, because what they've done has been incredible. And we've talked about on previous pods before about how Kane's probably been so underrated because of The Undertaker. And you sort of feel that way a bit about Bobby Lashley because of Brock Lesnar. And I know Brock was a UFC champion, and I think Bobby Lashley did Bellator, but I think he's actually got better MMA record, and he should just be built like an animal. And now with the dust settling and McIntyre not as champion, I'm all for Lashley having a good 6, 8, 10 months as champion and just basically eating through the roster and just looking like a world beater, because he looks like one, and he's got MVP to talk like one. And yeah, the Hurt business is just booming, and I'd quite like to see him win the title at Mania.
So there's obviously rumours online as well that Brock Lesnar is going to be available for WrestleMania. So how does he slide into this main event picture?
Well, I actually think that the Miz won't be involved in the main event of the title match. I think they get him out, and he'll probably have the celebrity match against Bad Bunny, the way it looks like, or a tag match with Morrison against Damian Priest and Bad Bunny. I can't see Miz staying in the title picture. I think it almost doesn't ruin it, but he's just... I want to see a big one-on-one match, I think, with McIntyre and Lashley. But yeah, you could see Lesnar getting back involved, because obviously he could say, I've taken a year out, I want to get my title back, I want revenge against McIntyre, and obviously Lashley's in the mix already, so yeah, it will be interesting to see how it plays out. But yeah, just going back to The Miz and what you said about his promos, the one on Raw, the one on the social was just unbelievable. He's just the best heel character, and when he's talking about the 10 years ago since the Miz girl crying her eyes out, and he's hoping that everyone's doing it again, and just, did you see the reaction on the screens of everyone just booing? It was like properly really good, and it felt as close to having fans in the arena as anything during the pandemic. So it definitely added something.
I did hear that Bobby dropping the belt was to have a match with Lashley at Mania, because they've never done it before, and this is probably the height of Lashley's career so far in what he's done coming into it red hot. But as much as I'd love to see that match, I don't think I want to see that just because Bobby will lose. And I think you've got to keep him strong, but Brock ain't coming back to a Mania to lose again. He's paid his dues a couple of times now. So if he's not doing that match, I can't see him coming back, to be fair. I don't know who else really goes up against him, unless you're just giving him a throwaway match. I don't know. Hopefully he doesn't go in the title picture. That is one thing I definitely do not want.
Do you think there's any chance that Drew McIntyre isn't in the main event for the Raw title?
Absolutely not. He's definitely, for me, going to be in it, 100%.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of people are on the back that he's just getting his Mania pop that he's missed out on. And yeah, Miz feels like a bit of a scapegoat, whether he's in the Mania match or he's fighting Bad Bunny and Priest. It seems like, well, I guess we'll see what happens, because it's always twisting and turning. We might even see Garza versus Bad Bunny, because he seems to be sort of, getting more involved with the feud. So you never quite know with WWE what is going to pan out, but it's quite exciting. There's options.
Mm.
Yeah. Do you think this is, well, it seems like it's not a long-term booking thing, this. It seems like they're sort of changing their plans pretty quickly to what they might have had planned previously, especially with Bobby Lashley dropping the US title earlier in the night. Do you think this is, do you think they're thinking on their feet a little bit here?
Yeah, it always seems that way with Raw. They always seem to chop and change so quick. It's like one moment someone could be red hot and then they swap it around. But the story of the Hurt Business over the year feels like, they're on to bigger things, and they need to be in that title picture or have that big match to really, keep elevating them. But yeah, Raw does love to chop and change. I guess it will all depend on the viewership. That's what it always seems to boil down to.
Yeah, so next week on Raw, we've got Miz versus Lashley for the title. So that'll be, expecting big viewers for that.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if this will be like the Miz will by hook or by crook get a DQ, or he'll somehow retain the belt for this one. And then I think, my prediction is that he's going to lose it at Fastlane. And then you'll get the build up for McIntyre, Lashley for Mania. That's what I'm thinking and hoping at this point. But yeah, like you say, it can quickly change.
I imagine McIntyre comes out and does Lashley in the title match. Maybe get them two to fight to see who goes to Mania at Fastlane. Have something else happen there, and then it's sort of booked threat. So yeah, it's good. There's quite a lot of avenues you can go down with it, which excites me.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's lots of talking points coming out of the Elimination Chamber. Probably talk more about what sort of happened after the main matches and what actually happened in the matches. But overall, an enjoyable pay-per-view in my book.
Yeah, I thought it was another solid card.
Yeah, no, I was going to say it's a very good pay-per-view. And I mean, everyone was left a bit sour with The Miz, but, like I said, it brings up the talking points, gets everyone talking about it. It was plastered all over my social network, like from, ESPN, Sports Center, like everyone was jumping on it. And it's good to see that from WWE. And I'm excited to see what happens at Fastlane and then on to Mania.
One thing I did find funny on the socials was that Wade Barrett, his account on Instagram got hacked, and he actually wrote on one of the BT Sport posts, or whoever done it, and saying that finally we've got a credible champion, and then at Drew McIntyre, and then he quickly had to respond saying, "Oh, sorry, I've been hacked. That's not actually my opinion," and that I don't know why, but that really really chuckled me. But yeah, I actually thought, solid card. Just made sense, a lot of it, in the end, for it to, build towards Mania. On Raw, it's a little bit more unpredictable. We don't really know what's going to happen, which sort of gets you watching. And then on the other hand, on SmackDown, now you know the main event, Edge and Roman, you're sort of waiting for the fire to light and see what magic happens with these two, because I think that'd be another great match. So yeah, they've got the canvas now. And Mania season, here we go.
That's it. So thank you very much for listening to our Elimination Chamber review. We are in Wrestlemania season. So during the month of March, we do have 3 Pinfall Rewinds. We're looking back at some old WrestleManias. And we're also going to have Fastlane pay-per-view to look back at. And then we've got WrestleMania in April. So we are well and truly on the road to WrestleMania. Thank you very much for listening today. If you want to get involved with anything we've been talking about, on Twitter we are at the Pinfall Pod. But from me, Barnsey and Jordan, thank you very much for listening. That's the Pinfall. Ring the bell.